2019 Audi Q3 review. First drive, 2019 Audi Q3 review, full driving impressions, spec and pricing. Since the Q3 was initially launched this season, newer versions with the ever-popular Q5 and Q7 have fallen along with the smaller Q2 has become introduced to fulfill the will for compact crossovers. That doesn't indicate the Q3 looks her age news, but competition coming thick and fast from all directions, it has to stand up on the likes in the BMW X1, Mercedes-Benz GLA, Mini Countryman and cheaper alternatives such as Volkswagen Tiguan and Seat Ateca. The Q3 is a sales success for Audi, but will it be still good enough to see over ever-increasing amount of rivals in one from the fastest-growing segments in the car market? Plenty of engine and transmission choices. Luckily for potential Q3 buyers, there's a variety of petrol and diesel engines available, at a 1.4-litre TFSI petrol with technology that shuts cylinders to further improve efficiency, with the powerful 2.0-litre turbodiesel that you'll also get in cars such as the Volkswagen Golf and Seat Leon. 6-speed manual gearboxes and S-tronic automatics can be obtained with 6 or 7 speeds with regards to the engine it's mated to, while quattro 4-wheel drive is accessible on the most effective 2.0 TFSI petrol, or any on the diesels. Solid interior showing its age. Many in the interior fixtures and fittings are distributed to the Audi A1, another of Audi's oldest models in the current range. While that's no issue when it comes to quality, everything feels beautifully screwed together. Audi is probably its own worst enemy in connection with this because the cabins of the more recent models are extremely exquisitely designed and built. Still, the supplies used look expensive, and you could still add a good amount of extras for the inside to restore feel more upmarket, in accordance with its wide range of rivals. Hampered by pricey options. The Q3 isn't cheap to acquire in the first place, and it also is an easy task to hike the price by delving into the extensive options list. Adding a lot better equipment for a Q3 can simply send the value soaring towards £40,000, based on the model you commence off with. Bear in mind a more impressive, newer Q5 can be acquired at this type of cost, so it's good to compare and contrast what you get your money can buy when you're buying. Good collection of petrol and diesel engines. All are strong performers. Manual and S-tronic available. Performance inside Q3 is provided with a selection of familiar turbocharged petrol engines and turbodiesels, for sale in a combination of manual, S-tronic auto and front or four-wheel drive options, so there needs to be something geared to most buyers' tastes. TFSI petrol engines. Kicking over petrol range is often a 1.4-litre TFSI petrol featuring cylinder-on-demand technology. This shuts 2 on the 4 cylinders if your car is definitely cruising along to increase efficiency. It works seamlessly so you don't notice if this switches between modes. The 1.4-litre engine produces 150 horsepower and 250 Nm of torque, which is capable of completing the 0 to 62 mph benchmark sprint in 9.2 seconds when fitted, which has a 6-speed manual gearbox. Go for that 6-speed S-tronic automatic, and this also dropped to 8.9 seconds. Both versions should go on to achieve a 126 mph top speed, even if this engine is available with front-wheel drive. If you desire more shove coming from a petrol-powered Q3, your only other option from the regular lineup is really a 2.0-litre TFSI producing 180 horsepower and 320 Nm. It comes exclusively with quattro all-wheel drive plus a 7-speed S-tronic gearbox, helping this version on the Q3 sprint from 0 to 62 mph in 7.6 seconds. It'll go on reach 135 mph, TDI diesel engines. Your choice is a bit more varied when you go for a diesel Q3. While there's still only 2 options, there's more choice gets hotter comes to gearboxes and exactly how many from the wheels you wish to be driving the auto. The entry-level diesel is really a 2.0-litre TDI with 150 horsepower and 340 Nm of torque. Fitted with front-wheel drive plus a manual gearbox, It's efficient at completing the 0 to 62 miles per hour sprint in 9.6 seconds. Opt for quattro all-wheel drive with all the manual gearbox, and yes, it drops to 9.3 seconds. A 7-speed S-tronic gearbox can also be available, just with quattro, that also goes from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 9.3 seconds and onto a highly regarded speed of 126 miles per hour. If you need more power, there's a 184 horsepower version with the 2.0-liter TDI engine, provided by either a 6-speed manual gearbox or 7-speed S-tronic. Both feature quattro, and take 7.9 seconds to surge from 0 to 62 miles per hour, helped by 380 Newton-meters of torque provided by low revs to shove you over the road at a decent pace. The S-tronic gearbox might take a bit of the perfect time to work out exactly what it wants to do in the event you surprise it and plant your foot to your floor, except for most drivers about the motorway. It's an easy and responsive transmission. You can control the gear shifts yourself through the use of small paddles around the steering wheel, and there's a number of driving modes available which often can sharpen the throttle response and steering weight. Best to go away it in comfort or auto, though, and allow the Q3 do its thing. It's not really a sports car, which is best left to devices. In this mode, it's a refined and relaxed car to push. Engines no more available. When the Q3 was released, a collection of different engines were available that will no longer be found within the bonnet, including a hot performance version, the Q3 RS. Petrol power was furnished by 170 horsepower and 210 horsepower versions of your 2.0-liter TFSI engine, which came with quattro all-wheel drive as standard. They were competent at sprinting from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 8.2 and 6.9 seconds respectively. The diesel lineup was different, too, with a range of 140 horsepower or 177 horsepower 2.0-liter TDI units. The former sported front-wheel drive plus a manual gearbox, even though the more powerful latter was included with quattro along with an S-tronic automatic gearbox. Sitting at the top from the Q3 lineup for some time was a hot Q3 RS, powered with a 2.5-liter TFSI petrol engine previously found within the TTRS and RS3. When first introduced, it produced 310 horsepower and was driven via quattro all-wheel drive plus an S-tronic gearbox. It received multiple upgrades in the life cycle, upgrading to 340 horsepower, after which 367 horsepower with the Q3 RS performance version. The 340 horsepower model was efficient at a 5.2 second 0 to 62 miles per hour sprint time, which fell to 4.8 seconds for that performance model, providing serious punch and gratification that could rival the greatest of hot hatchbacks. Not probably the most engaging car to push. Grip levels are perfect, nevertheless it's not exciting. Choice of driving modes available. Unfortunately, the Q3 suffers where many Audis did before, inside the handling stakes. There's little to have interaction. The driver along with the steering feels too lifeless to essentially instill any excitement to the experience. The electricity steering does improve since you gather pace, but even at its heaviest, it feels as though it could do with an increase of weight and feedback. In dynamic mode it truly is heavier and gives the trucker more confidence, especially at motorway speeds, even if this mode can also help sharpen within the throttle and gearbox response. However, the steering remains quite vague, and yes, it's not as good within this department like a BMW X1 or many Countrymen. There's a little bit of body roll across the tight corners, nevertheless it does feel well planted with good numbers of grip, particularly from the S-line models that feature sports suspension. With its lower weight, the two-wheel drive diesel models performs better here as opposed to quattro counterparts. It's a tad bit more agile inside the corners and will be offering a slightly more engaging drive, but go with no safety and security that quattro all-wheel drive provides. Typical high-quality build from Audi. Design looks slightly dated now. Easy for getting comfortable in the driver's seat. As the Q3 was introduced next year, it now feels dated. Besides, compared with its closest rivals, but also within the context in the wider Audi range. There's no arguing with all the quality on the materials used, though. The cabin is lined with excellent materials, and also the switches all possess a premium feel when using them. Much with the interior shares cues with all the smaller A1 hatchback, but nevertheless comes with lots of neat touches, including ambient lighting and knurled metal details to some in the switches. However, whilst the seats offer a good amount of adjustment to acquire comfy when driving, there's not nearly enough adjustment from the steering wheel. Smaller drivers could find their reach much up to the wheel if your seat was in a lower position too. It shouldn't be an excessive amount of an issue for some though. The raised driving position provides good view in the road ahead, but cars with tinted windows and dark interior headlining might make visibility slightly trickier, require the best out the rear. The Q3 also uses Audi's older version of that MMI infotainment system, controlled via a collection of buttons within the dashboard, instead of in between leading seats from the gear lever. A pop-up screen within the dashboard is an easy task to watch, along with the whole product is user-friendly, but it really feels dated in comparison with newer systems from BMW, and in many cases Audi itself. Adjustable, comfortable seats. Plenty of space in the beginning. Ride is usually jittery on big wheels. The Q3 is usually a comfortable car to pay time in, much more than you could expect. There is little or no engine noise inside cabin, while wind and road noise are very well suppressed, as long since you spec it with smaller wheels and tires. On the typical 17-inch alloys the ride feels nice and smooth, although switching the vehicle to dynamic mode via Audi Drive Select means things get somewhat stiffer and may cause some problems for the more undulating UK surfaces. Switching with an S-line with 18-inch alloys makes little difference for the ride, and according to which drive mode the auto is inside, ride still feels compliant overall. The biggest impact for the ride derives from adding optional alloy wheels. On higher spec cars you're capable of specifying wheels as much as 20 inches bigger. As a result, it is a more significant effect on ride quality, making the Q3 feel a lot more fidgety and unsettled even on smoother road surfaces. It's not unbearable, but noticeable in comparison with examples with higher profile tires. In the front in the car, the seats offer high comfort levels, longer journeys, and there's a good amount of directional movement within the seat so that the driving force can get settled. The controls adjusts for rake and reach, although some people smaller drivers will find it doesn't have quite enough adjustment to get it low enough to become comfortable. For most though, it's a fantastic setup. Things certainly are a bit tight within the rear in the car, and then any taller passengers that find themselves within the back won't want for being going to long an outing. The middle seat inside back can be best accessible smaller children, as fitting 3 adults throughout the rear row will be somewhat too tight, but a minimum of the seats are angled lower, making an effort to feel like you're sitting inside seats instead of on them. Decent volume of standard kit. Plenty more to become added optionally. 3 distinct trim levels. The Q3 lineup is comprised of 3 familiar trim levels: Sport, S-Line Edition and Black Edition. Standard Audi Q3 SUV equipment. The Q3 range kicks using the Sport, coming with 17-inch alloy wheels, xenon headlights with LED daytime running lights, sat-nav displayed on 6.5-inch pop-up color screen, Bluetooth phone connectivity, Audi Music Interface, AMI, connection for Apple devices and USB devices, DAB radio, voice control, dual zone climate control, rear parking sensors, cruise control, automatic lights and wipers. Upgrading for the Q3 S-Line Edition brings largely cosmetic upgrades, featuring 18-inch alloy wheels, S-Line specific bumpers, diffusers and chrome trim around the outside, cloth, leather S-Line sports seats, plus brushed aluminium trim inside, LED headlights plus LED rear lights, electronic boot lid, black headlining, front and rear parking sensors. The black edition builds on this further, with 19-inch black alloy wheels, lowered, stiffened suspension, privacy glass, black styling pack, gloss black trim for radiator grille, window trims, wheel arch trims minimizing parts with the bumpers and doors, together with door mirrors, spoiler and roof rails, Alcantara and leather upholstery with piano black dashboard trim, LED interior lighting, Bose surround sound stereo, optional Audi Q3 SUV extras. It wouldn't be an Audi should you couldn't add many optional extras, plus the Q3 isn't different. If you wish to reprogram your Q3 cosmetically, wheels as much as 20 inches in size is usually added, as can many different paint schemes, including virtually any color from your Audi exclusive range, costing approximately £2,400. Some options could be added in packs. Technology pack includes upgraded sat-nav with 3D maps, higher resolution screen and hard disk drive for music storage. Also includes link with Audi Connect that allows for internet searches and photos via Google Earth. Comfort and sound pack includes back and front parking sensors with rear view camera, hill hold assist, Bose stereo upgrade, LED interior lighting and heated front seats. Storage pack, netting around the seats, pouches under front seats, hook in passenger footwell and lockable glove box. Several from the options obtained in packs could be added individually, with extras such as a panoramic sunroof, full leather upholstery and other driver assistance and safety kit. Decent safety kit tally. Driver assistance might be added. Safe car for families. Given the official safety organization, Euro NCAP, has awarded the auto a full 5 stars, the Q3 can be a safe car drive and automobile. It comes together with the usual range of safety kit including stability control, 2 front airbags, thorax pelvis side airbags inside the backs on the front seats and curtain head airbags and hill hold. There are a quantity of optional safety extras available for the Q3 that provided that added a sense security. There's Audi side assist, and that is essentially blind spot detection that flashes the light when a car is coming in the side individuals. Then there is usually active lane assist that helps the trucker steer back into your lane if the vehicle goes over the road without indicating, and speed limit display that watches speed limit signs and shows them about the central trip computer. Compact exterior means interior isn't huge. Space for 4 adults and usable boot. Taller passengers may struggle for space. Passenger space within the front is not to argue with lots of headroom and legroom and space to stretch in. It's a mixed bag after you jump inside the back seats, though. If there's nobody too tall within the front, legroom is acceptable. However, if there's a taller person within the front and also you're a taller person yourself sitting inside the back, things have more cramp due to some sloping roof line. It's best inside back for the kids, then, as being the shape from the door is fairly narrow, as you move the middle seat is best restricted to smaller passengers, too. The Q3 is often a compact car, and it is barely more than a regular A3 hatchback. That means it's very easy to drive and maneuver out and about with good forward visibility. It's not particularly wide, either, meaning fitting into tight spaces is not hard, too. However, the leading gripe while using Q3 may be the slightly protruding rear end. It slopes quite dramatically, you notice in the event you look at your vehicle side on. It means that in case you use a corner window to be a gauge for the location where the back on the car is, you need to get aware the lower part from the back on the car is unique more compared to top. It's not only a big issue though, as being the Q3 incorporates rear parking sensors as standard, or you can convey a camera just as one optional extra if you desire some more satisfaction. Boot space is a great one with 460 litres being offered, even though this does change dependent upon whether you have a very space-saving spare wheel inside the back or you cannot. If you do, it falls to 420 litres. The rear seats split 60-40. This also extends the space from the back to some possible 1,325 liters. There's little intrusion in the rear wheels because sidewalls from the boot are almost completely flat. Annoyingly, the trunk seats don't fold fully flat, they sit somewhat raised, but this shouldn't cause lots of problems and there's still an excellent amount of room to be had. The loading lip is actually comparatively high, so getting heavy belongings in could cause issues for many, plus there's the protruding bumper to cope with. Buyers also can opt for a fold-flat front passenger seat, making it easier to handle even longer things like laminate flooring packs. The cabin does feel slightly tight for space, but the normal storage spaces like door side pockets and glove box are of a decent size.